It's muffed. A year we have to talk about, honestly. This is the Bengals 2025 season in review. Muffed! The Cincinnati Bengals finished 2025 at 6-11, missing the playoffs for the third straight year and locking in their worst season since 2020. The year started with so much promise: a 2-0 sprint, a week 1 squeaker in Cleveland, a week 2 thriller over Jacksonville, and then in the second quarter of that Jaguars game, Joe Burrow went down with a grade 3 turf toe and the whole season tilted on its axis. Cincinnati went 1-8 without him. The offense still flashed fireworks: the Thanksgiving return win in Baltimore, the Week 16 demolition of Miami, but leads evaporated, the defense bled points, and the season ended on the worst possible footnote: a Week 18 home loss to the rival Browns. A team with a franchise quarterback, 2,000-yard caliber receivers, and an offseason of defensive promises got muffed by injuries, by collapse, by themselves. Now, for the team by the numbers, the Bengals scored 29.4 points per game and gave up 28.4. Almost a wash on paper, but the entire margin came from a handful of blowout wins masking a broken defense. The passing offense finished with negative 18 expected points added. Expected points added is just how much each snap moved the chances of scoring. 28th percentile league-wide, while the run game graded out in the 78th. The bigger story is the defense: 13th percentile in both pass and run expected points added allowed, bottom 5 at stopping anybody. And the variance was wild: boom or bust in every direction, 45 on Miami and 0 against Baltimore in back-to-back weeks, winning by 18 in Baltimore and losing by 38 in Minnesota. No steady floor anywhere. Now let's talk about the passing offense. The headline: 249.6 passing yards per game and 36 touchdowns. Top shelf raw production, but the real story is a tale of 2 seasons split by Burrow's injury. Through the first 11 games with Jake Browning and then a traded for Joe Flacco running the show, the passing offense sat at minus 0.10 expected points added per dropback with 17 turnovers. After Burrow returned in week 13, that flipped to plus 0.11 per dropback over the final 6 games with 15 touchdowns and just 7 turnovers. A different offense. Burrow's own line tells you everything. 8 games, 1,809 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, completion percentage 4.6 points above expectation. The one thing that hurt them across both eras was the pick 6 problem. Cincinnati gave up multiple interceptions returned for scores, including a brutal week 14 sequence in Buffalo where Burrow's short right throw was jumped at the 33 and taken 63 yards back. The score that essentially decided a 39-34 loss. Elite passing offense in a vacuum. The turnovers were a season-long bleed. Now let's dig into the rushing offense. The ground game was quietly one of the best stories on this team. Plus 9.1 expected points added on the season. 78th percentile league-wide. 94.6 rushing yards per game on just 21.9 carries. With a steady floor that held up in wins and losses alike. Chase Brown carried it, 1,019 rushing yards on 232 carries, 6 rushing touchdowns, another 437 receiving yards, and 5 scores through the air, and 0.4 rush yards over expected per attempt. The one ding is red zone explosiveness, only 11 rushing touchdowns total, but for a team that lived in shotgun on 82% of snaps and threw at one of the highest pass over expected rates in the league, getting positive expected points added on the ground at all is a genuine win. Next up, the pass defense. This is where the season got muffed, and there's no other way to say it. The Bengals allowed plus 94 expected points added through the air, and remember, on defense, you want that number negative, so plus 94 is a 5-alarm fire. That's 13th percentile, bottom 5 territory. They gave up 245.6 passing yards per game, 33 touchdowns, and generated pressure on just 24% of dropbacks, with Trey Hendrickson missing roughly half the year. The one bright spot, and it's a real one, was takeaways: 21 on the season, 78th percentile, with pick 6s and strip sacks that kept them in games they had no business being in. The clearest example came week 13 in Baltimore when Joseph Osai sacked Lamar Jackson on 3rd and 9, popped the ball loose, and Cam Johnson recovered at the Ravens 6, exactly the kind of short field this defense otherwise couldn't manufacture. Boom or bust, almost entirely bust, and the run defense was every bit as ugly. Cincinnati allowed 148.1 rushing yards per game on 4.6 a carry, plus 40.3 expected points added on the ground, and 18 rushing touchdowns surrendered, again 13th percentile league-wide, with no week you could point to and say they fixed it. Missed tackles and explosive runs were a weekly problem, whether it was the Vikings hanging 48 in week 3 or the Steelers running them over for 34 in week 11. The front seven could not set an edge or finish in space. For a defense supposed to take a step forward under a new coordinator, finishing in the bottom 13% against the run was the single most damning number of the season. Muffed! Season MVP is Jamar Chase, 125 catches for 1,412 yards and 8 touchdowns on a 32% target share while playing with 3 different quarterbacks, the one constant on a roster that lost its identity in week 2. The thing this team has to fix is the defense. Full stop, bottom 13% expected points added allowed in both the pass and run game, 148 rushing yards a game surrendered, and a pressure rate of just 24%. The offense doesn't need much, the defense needs almost everything. That's the Bengals 2025 season. 2 things before you go. 1, if you want this every week when the season kicks off, subscribe to the Bengals feed wherever you're listening. 2, if you want the same treatment for your fantasy roster, head to muff.ai and we'll build you a custom weekly show. That's the wrap.